Lesson 7-4, Polynomials. The essential question is, how do you find the degree of a polynomial? On this first slide, it says under questions, types of polynomials, and we have a couple of different types listed. A monomial is a polynomial that has just one term. A binomial is a polynomial with two terms. A trinomial is a polynomial with three terms. And then anything that has more than three terms, we just call a polynomial because the prefix poly means many. Hopefully these make sense to you. The prefixes mono, bi, and tri, meaning 1, 2, and 3, should be familiar to you. Now, what is not allowed? What is not allowed in a polynomial? There are three main things. The first is a variable on the bottom of a fraction. The second one is a negative exponent. And the third one is a variable exponent, meaning that the variable is the exponent. Those three things are not allowed. So if you see those three things, it is not a polynomial. So it's not a monomial, not a binomial, not a trinomial. It's not a polynomial at all. Now looking at the examples, for a monomial, what you may notice is that it's a combination of numbers, of a number, letter, and exponents. And they're all being multiplied together. So we've got a coefficient number, we've got a couple of different letters, and each of the letters has its own exponent. And they're all multiplied together. That counts as one term. One term. The key is that they have to be multiplied together. For the next one, for the binomial example, what I want you to notice is that there are two separate terms here. The first one is 2x, the second one is 7, and they are connected by addition. So a binomial has two terms, and the terms are separated by addition or subtraction. The trinomial has three terms. They're separated by addition or subtraction again. So term number 1, term number 2, term number 3. Trinomial. And then the polynomial, my example, has 4 separate terms, and they are all separated by addition or subtraction. This next slide is a click and drag. Polynomials, or they're not polynomials. So this first one is a polynomial, a binomial to be specific, because it has two terms. This next one is not a polynomial because it has a variable for the exponent. We have another binomial and another binomial. Another one with a variable for the exponent. So these are not polynomials because they have an exponent that is a variable. And that was one of the three things that we said was not allowed. The next one, this is a trinomial, another binomial, monomial, another binomial, another binomial, and two more that are not polynomials. So these two have a variable on the bottom of a fraction. So that's why they're not polynomials. And then again over here, the type of polynomial, these are all binomials because they have two terms. I've got one monomial and then one trinomial. In the next slide, we're going to start talking about how you find the degree. First, we're finding the degree of a monomial, and then we'll find the degree of the entire polynomial. So to find the degree, it says locate the exponents on each of the variables in the term. So the exponents on the variables. And then we're going to add those exponents together to get the degree of the term. So my variables right here are x, y, and z. The exponent on x is a 3. The exponent on the y and on the z. Remember that the exponent represents repeated multiplication, like x to the third would be x times x times x. And then this one just says times y and times z. So those variables occur only once. So you don't see the exponent, but the exponent is really a 1. So when I add together my exponents, 3 plus 1 plus 1, I get a degree of 5 for that first term. So if you don't see an exponent on your variable, but there is a variable there, you can write in a 1 for its exponent. The second one is pretty clear because all of the variables have exponents written in. 4 plus 2 is 6, plus 3 is 9. So the degree for my second term is 9. And then my third one, there isn't a variable at all, so this has a degree of 0. So degree of 0, because there are no variables. It's just a constant number. So locate the exponents on each of the variables that are in the term, and then add the exponents together to get the degree of that term. This is finding the degree of a monomial. Now with a polynomial, we look at each term separately. So we find the degree of each term, and then the highest degree term is the degree of the polynomial. So find the degree of each term. This first term, I can put a 1 on the y. 2 plus 1 is 3. So the degree is 3. Second term, the only exponent on a variable is 4, so degree 4. The highest degree term is 4, so that is the degree of my polynomial, 4. Do not add together the degrees from one term to the next. Just keep the highest one. The next example, 2 plus 4 has a degree of 6. Second term has a degree of 1. Third term, a degree of 5. So the highest is 6. And last, the first term has a degree of 1. Second term, I add together 4 plus 1, so the degree is 5. Third term, 3. So the entire thing has a degree of 5 from my highest term. The last thing that we need to work on today is writing a polynomial in standard form. Standard form means from the highest degree term to the lowest degree term, and then identifying the leading coefficient. Leading, if you are a leader, you are first. So the leading coefficient is going to be the first coefficient after it's written in standard form. So standard form, highest degree term to the lowest. So this degree is 3, degree 1, degree 6. 6 is the highest. So I am going to take this term and write it first. Negative 2, x to the 6th. Notice that I brought the negative sign with it because the sign in front of the 2 goes with it. So if it had been a plus, it would be a positive 2x to the 6th. Because it's a minus in front, it's a negative. Now my second highest degree is going to be the one with the 3. So next I have minus 14x to the 3rd. And then last but not least, plus 3x. The leading coefficient is the coefficient on the first term. So my leading coefficient is negative 2. The coefficient on the first term. So it's what we started out with. Next example, degree 2, degree 1, degree 5, degree 0. So the first one for me to write, the highest is the 5th degree. It's a positive, so I could just write 8x to the 5th. Second highest, another positive, 7x to the 2nd. Third is a negative, negative 3x. And last, plus 1. The leading coefficient, the first coefficient is 8, so my leading coefficient is 8. Last example, first term, degree 2, second, degree 1, third, degree 4. The highest degree term is 4, so negative 5, x to the 4th. Second would be degree 2, positive 9, x squared. And last, negative x. My leading coefficient, in front of the first term, I've got a negative 5. Leading coefficient, negative 5. You should be able to write a summary now, and here are your homework problems. Be careful with the directions. Make sure that you go back to your notes when the directions change so that you are answering the problems correctly.